For this project, I'm going to be using a Christmas tree wood cutout. It has a base on it, and I think I've had it for a couple years now. I just haven't done anything with it, but I thought I'd do a little more decoupaging, and I'm going to be using recycled decoupage paper. The name of it is Neutral Christmas Blocks, and I really love this elk and the dove, and I think we can embellish it further once we decoupage it on the tree. Before decoupaging, I like to make sure that the base of my project is painted white. By painting my project white, it will help to keep the colors of my paper bright and vibrant from behind. If I were to keep the color of this tree green, the look would be more muted. Not to say that it's wrong to decoupage over the green, but there is an overall difference if you paint your project white first. Next, I'm cutting the image from my decoupage paper, which is half the sheet. Okay, it's time to decoupage the paper to the project. I'm using Dixie Belle Paint Company's Clear Coat Satin as my decoupage medium. So I'm going to apply a nice even layer of the satin on my project. And I'm going to lightly mist my decoupage paper with water. This helps to stretch the paper, and it really helps to alleviate some of those wrinkles you get when you're decoupaging. Once the paper is down, I use a ball of saran wrap to help smooth out my paper. I've also used saran wrap just laid across my project and used a brayer. That works too. It just depends on my mood, I guess, but it does work both ways. I continue on, working in sections, applying the decoupage medium, spritzing my paper, and smoothing it out with a ball of saran wrap. I apologize in advance if the video might get cut off at the bottom of the screen sometimes, but this tree is quite tall, and I'm trying to make an effort to keep it centered with the camera for you. Next, I'm going to remove a lot of that excess paper that's not needed on my project. I'm going to use scissors here to remove a lot of the excess paper. I don't want to remove the paper by tearing it at this point because my decoupage is not dry yet. I didn't capture this part on video, but I removed the rest of the paper from my project using an emery board to get in those little nooks of the tree and sandpaper. And you just basically go in a downward motion against your project and it comes off easy. For the next step, I'm going to be using salt wash. Salt wash is a paint additive. You can create texture and weathered looks. It's really fun to play with. You can even use it for raised stenciling. But today I'm going to use it to make snow for my tree. I've got a couple teaspoons of white paint in my bowl, and I'm adding a cap full of salt wash, and I'm going to mix it well. I'm looking for an icing-like consistency, maybe a little bit thicker, because I'm creating a snow-like effect on my tree. I'm applying the salt wash to the front of my tree, just along the edges, and then I'm going to take the salt wash down the sides of my tree to cover up the green. When applying the salt wash, I get it on my board, but then I go around and I tap it to create highs and lows. I want to create that snow-like effect on my board. I went ahead and gave a few taps on the tree to the left there just to give it some snow too, as you can see here. Next, I'm going to be embellishing my project further using Redesign with Prima's Christmas Memories Transfer. This is a new transfer, part of Redesign with Prima's holiday collection. I do sell them on my website, and I will put a link in the description below if you're interested. I'm going to be cutting pieces of this transfer for my project, and I thought the boughs of holly with the red berries would look great on the tree in my decoupage paper to add interest. Now that I've got the pieces cut out that I want to use, I'm just trying to place them and create a design so it doesn't overtake the tree, but adds the interest that I want. The transfer comes in two parts. There's a backing sheet and the sheet that has the design on it. It also comes with this burnishing tool, kind of looks like a popsicle stick, and you basically just remove the backing sheet, lay the design where you want it on your project, and use the burnishing tool to apply the transfer. I'll continue to apply the boughs and berries to my tree, and we'll move on to the next step. After applying the transfers, I use one of the backing sheets to burnish the transfer into my project. Basically, burnishing is rubbing the transfer into my project, making sure that everything is adhered and nothing is lifting. I have these miniature snowflakes in my stash, and I thought they'd look really cute on my project. To apply the snowflakes to my project, I'm using Aleene's Tacky Glue. These snowflakes are going to add even more interest to my project. So we have the color from the transfers, we have the texture from the salt wash, and now the snowflakes are going to give it a 3D effect. I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to leave the base of the tree painted or what I was going to do, but I did have some leftover salt wash and I'm applying it here. For a final touch, we're going to top our tree off with a gold star. And here's the final look. I ended up adding a little resin cardinal and some greenery to the bottom of the tree. I thought it needed it there. What do you all think? Let me know in your comments. For project 2, I've had this box in my stash, and it appears to be some type of a card catalog box. It has a divider inside, so I thought I'd create a Christmas card or keepsake box. To decorate the box, I'm going to use Redesign with Prima's Holly Jolly Hideaway Decor Tissue. I'm going to use the decor tissue on the top of the box, so I'm going to start by painting the top white. There are 3 decor tissues in a pack, and I've chosen this one to work with. The vintage designs are beautiful, and I think the Merry Christmas with the candy canes would be great for the top of the box. Next, I cut the design about a half an inch away from the edge of my project. This gives me enough room to center it and remove any excess that I may have. I'm using Redesign with Prima's Decoupage Matte Gel, and I'm going to work in sections, applying it liberally to my project. Using 150 grit sandpaper in a downward motion, I cut away the excess decor tissue paper. Next, I seal my project with the Decoupage matte gel. Continuing on to the sides of my project, I'm going to apply Dixie Belle Paint Company's Evergreen Chalk Mineral Paint. To embellish the sides of my project, I'm going to use Redesign with Prima's Engraved Etchings mold. I'm using the 10-minute Amazing Casting resin to create the mold. The Amazing Casting resin comes in two parts, parts A and part B, and you basically just measure equal parts and mix them together and pour them in your mold. I slowly pour the resin into the mold, taking care not to over pour. While the mold is curing, I decided that I wanted to bring the decor tissue down the sides of the lid. So I'm going to paint the sides of the lid white. After it's dry, I'm going to apply the Decoupage matte gel. I'll cut the strips of the decor tissue and apply it. After looking at the top of the box and the sides, I think bringing it down the lid will make it a more complete look. For the next step, I apply the molds. You can see here I poured one complete mold and there's a partial mold. That is because I had some leftover resin in my cup and I didn't want to waste it, so I will use this piece for a future project. I poured 2 additional molds of this size to attach to the other sides of the box. I'm using tight bond wood glue to attach the mold to my project. I ended up trimming one of the molds to fit the front of the box. As you can see here, this one is a little bit shorter. To embellish the molds, I start by painting each one with the Evergreen Chalk Mineral Paint. Next, I use Dixie Belle Paint Company's Easy Peasy Spray Wax to seal the paint. Next, I'm using Dixie Belle Paint Company's Best Dang Wax in Brown to shade around the mold. I will then use a lint-free cloth to blend out the wax to create some depth. Next, I'm using Finnabar's Vintage Gold Metallic Wax to embellish the mold further. This will give it the gold pop that I'm looking for. I want to remind everyone that you can find these products and more on my website at thechalktrunk.com. Here I am also applying the Best Dang Wax in Brown on the edges of my box to create a more antique look. For the final touch, I attach a drawer knob to the front of the box and I use E6000 to attach it. If you haven't tried decoupage paper or molds, getting a thrifted wood box or a wood tote would be a great project to start off with. I hope you enjoyed these projects, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Also, you can follow me on other social medias such as Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and TikTok.